Over to you, Tim.
Thank you, Alicia. There are reports Australia's housing boom is over, for the time being at least. New figures show a decline in the housing sector despite record low interest rates. For more on this, we're joined by property expert Andrew Wilson. Andrew, good morning to you.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. This data, particularly new home loans, looks pretty flat across the country. What does that tell us about the housing sector more broadly?
Well, I think the interesting thing about yesterday's ABS home loan data, which was for owner-occupiers seasonally adjusted, was that there was a consistency amongst all states falling, except for Victoria. And interesting also that New South Wales led the pack of the major states, down by 2.2%. And of course, that Sydney market really has been the engine room for house price growth nationally over the last 2 years. So more signs of a cooling housing market, and it is that consistency that shows that those low interest rates will work their way through the system.
All right, so Sydney's been going off, hasn't it? Let's look at the state-by-state breakdown now. Let's firstly look at Queensland. So that's down
0.2%. Yes, look, Queensland's been late coming to the party in terms of prices growth and buyer activity over the last 2 years. Prices growth did resume last year, so perhaps not too bad a result for Queensland. But again, there's some local economic issues that are keeping that market constrained.
Let's go to Victoria next. You've mentioned New South Wales already. Victoria bucking the trend.
Bucked the trend, Victoria, yes, up by 0.6%. That Victorian housing market, again, it started to wane last year. Prices growth moved from 10% in 2013 down to around 5% last year. Again, economic factors are constraining the housing market in Victoria, but it did buck the trend over November.
All right, they'll be happy about that in Victoria. What about South Australia?
Well, again, South Australia down 1.6% in terms of that home loan data. That's had a better year last year, South Australia. It does have those issues to do with local economy. Again, it is the economies that are starting to pull back housing market activity as those low interest rates work their way through the system. South Australia, no excuse or no difference in terms of the other ones.
All right. And lastly, to WA.
And WA down 1%. WA's actually had a very flat year last year in terms of prices growth. It was perhaps the first market to start growing in 2012-13, so affordability issues have started to pull that market back last year. Really no prices growth at all last year in Western Australia. No surprise again, the resources boom is over, unemployment rising, and we're seeing lower housing market activity.
Might see further falls there in the near future. Let's talk about whether it's a good time to buy, a good time to sell. What would your advice be?
Well, look, buying and selling, good time to buy, good time to sell, depends really. I mean, most buyers are sellers and sellers are buyers. So if you remain within the market, even if it's a rising market or a falling market, really there's no net gain or no net loss. I think going forward it will be more about not the right time to buy or sell, but individual decisions about whether you need a larger house or moving to another area, rather than that wave of highs and lows we've had in housing market cycles over the last couple of decades.
And first-time buyers, would I be right in thinking this data represents a better picture for first-time buyers than perhaps 12 months ago?
Well, absolutely. Look, we've had these fabulous figures in terms of prices growth, so homeowners are pretty happy in most states over the last couple of years, particularly Sydney. But look, it's a bad news story for first-home buyers. They've been scratching their hair or pulling it out by the roots because it's very difficult to get in the market. They can't take advantage of those very low interest rates. A lot of factors involved in this. They've lost the grant for established properties in most states now. So look, we are starting to see in New South Wales and Queensland first home buyers trickle back into the market, but it's going to be a long journey.
Yeah, it sure is. It's a tough time, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Always appreciate your thoughts
on
this.
Thank
you very much, Andrew. All right, let's get the latest weather now. Over to Stevie.
Thank you very much, Timmy. Good morning.